a seat. You ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, Mom, for His glory.
Amen.
Amen.
My name is Rosa Amelia Palacios Aragon. My name here is Rosa Amelia Kelley, original from Guatemala City, Central America. Well, I have so good memories starting as a child. My parents, good people with big heart. My mother, a believer. All our faith started at home because my mom teach us how. My dad, a big heart man, a good man, but he do not was a believer. My dad came a believer a few years before he passed and died in peace. I am the oldest of 5 children that my mama gave birth, and my mom and dad adopt my sister when they were already old. At the school, I was a good student, but I was a very good athlete growing up. I liked to run. I went to high school. In high school, I started running, start training hard, and I was good enough to qualify to the tries out to go to the Pan American Games. Running, I have so disappointed in that run. My time was good, but then I make a mistake. In the last run, I turn my head and look back, and when I come back, my head straight again, I just was so dizzy and just fall down. And then I never made to the final lane, being the second, very close to the first place. That was a disappointment, and but they just keep running after that, and then finally I graduate. After high school, I took the classes to be a secretary, and then is when I fell in love for the first time in my life. I meet Lico through my cousin. My cousin was married to Lico's brother, but I never meet him until one day my cousin stopped by and brought me over to a birthday party in Lico's house. And then is where I meet him. And immediately, that was immediately. I don't know nothing about what love was, but it was a physical attraction immediately. If for later on what he told me, he feel the same way. We talk, sit in the same place, and we talk the whole afternoon in the birthday party of his niece. Then I don't see him until a week later. The surprise Francisco, that was his brother, married to my cousin Ileana, brought him over my home and asked my parents for a permission to go for a ride. In Guatemala, we have a beautiful places to go on top of the mountain. Guatemala City is around mountains. And then we went and have one afternoon. We went to a restaurant and we keep talking. And finally, probably like the fifth time that we see each other, then Lico told me how he was feeling about me. And but he was 7 years older than me. I don't even graduate yet. And I was like, no, this cannot be. My father is not going to allow me and this and that. But I know I was in love too, and then Lico decided, let me talk to your dad because my intentions are good. And then is how everything started. My dad says absolutely nothing else, just visit my daughter as a good friend and nothing out of the house. And that was the rules. Later on, my parents love him so much, trust him so much, and Lico started thinking about marriage. And my father said, no, I'm not allowed. She needs to finish school already. After my graduation, he already asked my dad, and we get engaged. And then we ended married on May 28, 1978. Later on, very soon, I find out I was pregnant, my first son. And I was so happy, and he was so happy. And then I decide not to go to school because I love him so much that I wanna be a good wife. I don't wanna be and go all day long, being pregnant, and then have to take some time off. And I was thinking, I wanna be a good wife, a good mother, and it's time for me to postpone. Then we have our first child. Then another surprise so quickly. We visit the doctor after Aldo, my first son, turned 3 months old. And I had my checkup, and surprise, I was pregnant. I cannot believe it. I was like in shock, but Lico was jumping up and down, hugged me and pulled me up and saying, we're going to have a child. And that was my second child. Then when Aldo turned 2 years old and Marlon turned 1 year old, that was in November. Both are from November, a year apart. Then next year, in January 12th, Lico said goodbye very early in the morning. And he always, when he was saying goodbye to us, kissing us, was like 5:30 in the morning. And then he never come back. His brother and him in a restaurant, they were eating, And two men came in and assaulted them. His brother decided not to give them money. They killed instantly my brother-in-law. Enrico was shot, 2 shots, one in the shoulder and the other very close to the heart. And he never came back home. He died. And I was a widow in my 20s with 2 children. And of course, asking God why. Why me? Why him? And I was angry, very angry with God. Never understand. I was lucky. I locked myself in my room and grateful to have my parents always next to me, because if not, I will let myself die and probably with me, my kids. After my second child, I was very skinny, tall and skinny. After my second child, I was with 120 pounds. 2 months after Lico died, I was dying in bed, being 85 pounds. But something happened. The doctor that was caring for me and coming to the house was my neighbor at the corner. And he came and take care, but I don't want to eat. He was putting stuff, vitamins and stuff in me, and I don't want nothing. Then he told me, because he knew Lico and they were friends, he told me something to shock me. He says, I'm not coming back again. I'm going to stop coming because there's nothing else I can do for you. But I just want to remind you this. You know how Lico loves you. You know how happy he was in the wedding. You know how happy he was when his kids born. He was so proud to be a father. And he says, for 1 second, I'm asking you to inverse. Think about if you're the one being dead now, and if he's alive, how do you think he will deal with all this? Do you really think that he will be waiting to die in that bed when your sons want to play, when your sons want you to feed them? And that shocked me. I realized what I was doing, and I knew that was wrong. I started getting back on my feet with the help of my mom and dad always. They were right there with me always. I took cosmetology school. I graduated. I love cosmetology school because the contact with people. Then I start putting my beauty salon in my house. I grew up well. I was doing well, and my kids starting school. I put them in a bilingual school from the beginning. I was working hard and want the best for my 2 boys, Aldo and Marlon. At the same time, was sadness, because start school, parents meetings, celebrations of Mother's Day, celebration of Father's Day, and I have one memory. That memory was being there with my dad, present for Father's Day celebration in school. And then I remember Marlon, this is my second boy. He has a balloon saying, I love you, Dad. Then both of them have a balloon, but Marlon accidentally, the balloon just went up, and he looked the balloon, and Aldo was disappointed, the older brother, and he says, why you let the balloon go? And then he looked up, and Marlon says, I don't mean to do that, but Aldo, he said, it's better, because now my dad will have the balloon in heaven. That was a beautiful memory. But then I keep growing, keep working, and finally I decide to put in a very nice area in Guatemala City, very close to the embassy, the United States Embassy. I rent a place there in a building, and I put a boutique, a beauty salon. And it's how I start coming to United States often, because the clothes I put in the boutique was made in USA. I was flying to United States every 3 or 4 months and bring the merchandise to Guatemala and all accessories. And it's how I meet Douglas, an American man. I used to have few people from the USA Embassy. They were my customers. Douglas came to Guatemala to work in a government sport from United States to Guatemala. They were recruiting baseball players, and Douglas was a baseball coach. So he came with a contract of 2 years. I meet Douglas in my salon. He was already in Guatemala almost a year. And then he came in, make the appointment, and I saw him, and that's funny, because I never see a man with a so big neck that cannot fit in the hole of the place where we wash the hair. My assistant washed his hair, and he was afraid because the neck do not fit in there. She put towels everywhere, and then the poor dog and with a big, lots of water in the thing. But he never complained. He was talking to me. In that time, I know the basic, just basic English, and he knew already basic Spanish. That we were talking, and he was already like flirting with me. In my whole life, from the time of my husband died until that moment, I never feel so nervous, because I don't have interest in nobody. I was working hard. I stand up on my feet. I have working in my emotions and this and that, and I never expect to love again. Never. I was in love, still in love with my husband. And he started flirting with me, and then he asked me if I married. I never say to anybody that I was a widow. And I said, because I was the feeling, I married to still married to Lico, no married, he passed. Then I said, no, he asked me, do you have a family? I said, yes. And then I asked the same thing, and he says, well, I have 2 kids, but I'm divorced. Then he said, what your husband do? And I never been a good liar. I don't like lies. Then I said, oh God, how do I respond this? Because I don't want to lie. And I said, my husband no more. It's all what can come to my head. And then he said, are you divorced or in planning of divorce? And I said, no, my husband no more. Then something happened. My brother came in. He explained to him because I introduced my brother and he speak English. Then they were talking and finally he find out everything about me. That is how I meet Douglas and is how everything started. I will leave it until here because I want my son to tell you all the details in his book. They will come soon, but I cannot even believe how I feel love. And Douglas had the passion and accept me, knowing that I still love my husband. And his words saying, I do not want you to stop loving him. I will leave it until there. We married. They extending 1 more year for him. Then we have the time the contract extended 1 more year in Guatemala. And then we came, we married, we have a family. The transaction now was easy for me. Leave my country back, but always the Lord has a plan, and He is perfect in all His ways. Then we have 2 kids soon, like the way happened with my 2 first boys. I have this time was a year and a half, not a year and a half apart. And I have my son Douglas Jr. And then Jonathan came along after, and we were thinking, okay, it's it for us. We have 4 boys. And I never expect, we never plan, we never expect have another child. And then that is the difference between Jonathan and Greg. There came Greg, and Greg was a very easy pregnancy. When I got Greg, I was almost 37 years old. And then I remember the doctor said, well, you're almost 40. This is normal, this and that. But I know there was something wrong. When it was time to have Greg was already past due. And then the doctor just say, come in one day, and I did. He prepared me this and that. And then Greg do not want to born. There was complications. Heart stopped being very low, and immediately they rushed me into to have a cesarean. That was risky. They even asked Doug, he has to decide if anything happened in that surgery, if he wants me, he has to decide me or Greg. And I scream, do not let my son die. And the doctor rushed me in. And then Greg born. Everything was good. I was in the hospital for a couple days. And then I went home. Just went home just to fall asleep and home. And the next day, I saw Greg immediately in the crib. When I put the light on, Greg was complete yellow. And have to rush back to the hospital. When we came in, he was in a very hard condition. And the doctor says, we're going to start monitor him. Every hour was pinching the back of his feet to make lab tests for the blood. Finally, and everything was started coming down for Greg, and he was a fight. All right, we took Greg out, and we were living a normal life with kids in school. My older kids, we already in high school. They graduate, and then Aldo went already to university, and we were okay. Douglas then was diagnosed with some problem in his heart. And the doctor told him, the specialist said, we're going to postpone and postpone until it's time to have an open heart surgery. They postponed it for years. Finally, it was the moment for Douglas to have a heart open surgery. And they did, and everything was good. I remember that was between Christmas and New Year, I was diagnosed with a tumor, in the epithelial tumor. And that was scary, but Douglas already had his heart surgery. Then it's time for me to have my surgery. But then 6 months later, in that timing when I was diagnosed, Douglas has the stroke, a huge stroke. After the stroke, Douglas was kind of a 3 months baby. Okay, you trying to sit him, and he do not have the strength to be sitting. After the stroke, Douglas have to learn how to eat, how to drink, how to swallow food, how to read, how to write. He has to, that was devastated. That stroke was hard, very hard in us. My surgery was done, and then after the stroke of Douglas, then I was the caregiver for Douglas after my surgery. That was hard. In that moment, all my kids were doing her stuff, and they were great athletes. Greg was just keep going with the football idea, that he's going to just be in good in football in school, be the captain of the team in Leander High School. And then my other boys were great runners. Finally, that was how Greg in some friend's house, and everything started there. That was so devastated, being in the situation that we were. Douglas was fighting to be better. I was fighting to have the strength to help my husband I have to get better. And also dealing at the same time with all this, come with Greg accusation, false accusation. That was devastating times. But seeing my son in that situation, it's like erasing all the dreams he had. And I remember when they put him in the handcuffs, and they opened the door. I believe that is a metal door that they open, electronically door, is what I remember. And I seen my son walk in, and my son, he just turned his head back to me. And the door was closing, and I see my son walking in through the hall with two officers. And I remember the moment when the door locked, and I remember hear the noise. In that moment, I broke down. But I told myself, Rosa Kelley, put your head up and look around what these people can hear. Because someday, your son will be free again. On May 28, 2019, my husband Douglas passed away. On that day, I asked one of my sons what day that was. May 28 was the day I married Lico. And also is the date Douglas passed away. In that moment, I believe that God was telling me my marriage circle was closed. And my son now is married to the sweetheart. I call her an angel. Gabriel was an angel in my son's life. Their love, the gift of that love, the first child, and now another in the way that we expecting right now at any time. I have so many grandkids. I love them deeply. They give me the energy to keep going. They make me feel young. And what Gregory is doing with his life, I'm so proud of him. He's recognizing God in everything. I surrender in the moment when I feel like this. I cannot do much anymore, Lord. And I surrender to the Lord the day when my son was convicted. And a few hours later, the Lord responded my call. He provide everything what we need to find the truth. Stay in the fight, no matter what you're passing through. My testimony is my personal experience, but each of us, we have a testimony. We pass for so different things in life. Health, deaths, incarceration, so many. But stay in the fight. Don't give up. Surrender to God is the only way we will hear His voice. He will provide, always does. He took my hand. He took great hand. He been with me in all these painful times. And now He is with me. I recognize Him in each day with a simple smile of a person or a simple action that someone is kind and help me with my groceries, put it in the car. We have to trust Him. My name is Rosa Kelley, and I stay in the fight.
How's it feel, Mom?
Oh, thank you, Greg.